Many times I will hear from people that they gained 50 pounds, 80 pounds doing a carnivore diet. In this video, I'm going to talk about the carnivore weight gain phase that isn't adaptation. I'm also going to give you pointers on how to avoid this unnecessary weight gain that so many have experienced. The problem is not the carnivore diet, the problem is how it's being implemented. So if someone just overnight goes cold turkey, zero carb for the first time in their life, and then starts eating 2 sticks of butter every day, what do you think is going to happen? The body has had no time to adapt. You are literally shocking your body. This will raise cortisol, stress hormone, which blunts fat oxidation. Now you're giving yourself even more energy to store in your own fat cells. So you're gonna gain even more weight than if you were to just continue with the carbs like you were doing before. There is a difference between healing weight gain and cortisol stress-driven weight gain. In this first scenario that I described to you, which has happened to many of you, it has been stress cortisol driven. Your body never had a chance to properly adapt. You were eating way more fat than your body knew what to do with overnight. If you were to properly adapt and take baby steps for your own bio-individual needs, this would not have happened. In my healing journey, I went from 65 pounds to 155. This was a lot of weight gain. I would say all of it was healthy, but the last 20 to 30 pounds for me was kind of uncomfortable. I felt good at 130, but then I kept gaining. And what I've shared with my one-on-one clients in these very intimate and sensitive conversations about weight gain, I really think my body needed that. I was still hungry. I was not willing to restrict in any form when I felt true hunger. This was not emotional hunger. I would go for walks after my meals to make sure it was not emotionally driven. It was simply what my body needed to finally feel safe and abundance, to switch on leptin and allow me to burn more of my own body fat. So I got up to 155, which I've shared was a little uncomfortable for me, but it was nowhere near unhealthy. But I felt fluffy. I felt there was extra, but I was honoring my hunger signals, and leptin switched on, and I lost all the way down to 128. And that is my probably healthiest weight at my leanest, where I'm maintaining my hormones, sex hormones, I'm thriving, and everything like that. So my point is that this was a scenario where the weight gain was actually healing, and I needed to allow it to happen. This was 20 to 30 pounds of extra weight that eventually fell off. I have seen this happen with so many individuals. And so I will, in some scenarios, guide the individual. I want you to keep leaning into this. You're craving the fat. You're still wanting more food. You're still hungry. You cannot deny your body. Please don't go backwards. But let's talk about the other scenario where it's cortisol-driven fat gain. This is what I described initially when someone's ripping out the carbohydrates, increasing fat, maybe by 3 times as much overnight. The body hasn't properly adapted, and this will raise your cortisol and adrenaline because you weren't transitioning properly. If you are transitioning in a very quick manner like this, instead of taking baby steps in a very guided way, like I said, for your own bio-individual needs, you are running the risk of raising your cortisol. Other signs of cortisol disruption could be you're not sleeping through the night, you're having dips of energy throughout the day, you have stress intolerance, and you've gained a bunch of weight. Let's talk about when weight gain is insulin driven and not recovery driven. High fat carnivore does not inherently cause insulin resistance. However, if you transition too quickly, like I've described, where you are increasing your energy intake double or even triple overnight, your metabolism has not upregulated yet, so you will store body fat. This does not work for many people, and it has really hurt many people. And I say that because I have worked with them. For you individuals who I see you in my YouTube comments saying, I did carnivore and I gained this much. What I want for you, the viewer, to get out of this is to learn from all of these other people who went too quickly, they didn't properly adapt. I want you to learn so that you don't have to gain unnecessary weight. The problem is that you haven't allowed your metabolism to upregulate. You haven't allowed the fat to do what it can actually do, which is upregulate your sex hormones, thyroid hormone, metabolism, so that you're literally burning more fat in your sleep. This is what I help my clients to do. But if you do it too quickly, Your body will never learn to do this. The last scenario that I want to talk about, which can result in unwanted and unhealthy weight gain, is becoming more restrictive and being more strict when it's really not appropriate for the individual. There have been many cases where I'm working with someone one-on-one, and my recommendation is mindfulness. Here are your macros. These are the specific foods and the specific fats. And you know what? You can be flexible with these low carb, low oxalate variety like squash, cucumber, arugula. Many of these things are okay for so many people, but they're listening to other voices in this community that are saying all plants are out to kill you. You can't have a bite of an apple or that will tank your thyroid. I actually hear this feedback from other people. They're afraid to do anything but strict carnivore. There are a lot of people where this is going to push them in the wrong direction. I have seen this result in binge eating disorders. I have seen this result in depression. I have seen this result in social anxiety. This is unnecessary. That being said, there are scenarios where zero fiber and zero carb actually is essential, but that is not every single person. That is usually for individuals who have maybe severe SIBO overgrowth or really, really aggressive candida overgrowth. Those people need to be extra careful with any amount of fiber because it will feed those bad bacteria. But if you are capping your carbs at a certain point and you're aiming for a proper fat to protein ratio and you're emphasizing the right types of fats that train your body to be a fat burning machine, you do not have to fear a little bit of roasted squash. And when I explain this to my clients, it sets them free from this restrictive mindset or mentality that is simply not sustainable. When you can partner with your body and you actually enjoy the food you're eating, your cortisol levels will come down and you will see that result in more fat burning capacity. You will see that in your metabolism upregulating even while you're consuming a little bit more variety with your meat-based or animal-based diet. As you can see, hormones are behind all of these examples. Are you supporting your hormones or are you taxing them with your approach?